Welcome back to The Big Show. It's Alex Belfield talking to my favourite people, and everybody knows I love Beverley Callard. How are you?
Oh, I'm very good indeed, thank you. Very good. How are you?
I'm tremendous. And what I love about you is, of course, Coronation Street, where we see you week in and week out, and you look glamorous and you look gorgeous, and you always have that star-shaped necklace on. Do they ever give you anything other than that star-shaped necklace?
Oh, gosh. Liz has had that for about 15 years, and it's been repaired 3 times. But it's sort of Liz's, that's the Liz necklace. And I get, you would not believe it, Alex, I get so many letters of people saying, where did you get it from? And I've no idea where they got it from, it's so old.
My favourite thing was when you got married, and I nearly fell off my chair when they said, do you, Elizabeth Jane McDonald, take...
I know, it's scary, isn't it?
I'd love Coronation Street for that, though, because it will play with names and things that are happening, and it doesn't take itself too seriously, does it?
Well, do you know what? In the very beginning, Liz was called, this is sort of in the first couple of months, 21 years ago, she was called Elizabeth Theresa McDonald.
Right.
And then they suddenly realised that Bet Lynch was called Elizabeth Theresa Lynch. So they changed it. So it was suddenly, instead of Elizabeth Theresa, it was Elizabeth Jane.
But somebody must have been watching Loose Women to see the Lady Jane McDonald to think that that was funny. There's got to be a double gag in there, hasn't there?
No, it came way before that.
Really?
Yeah, way before that. So I think she must have copied me.
Oh, well, there you go then. That'll be what it is. And the irony, of course, about you being Jane McDonald on the TV is that you're now sat in her chair on Loose Women. How's that going?
I know, it's spooky, isn't it? Well, to be honest, they'd asked me to be a guest on it for years, and even though I loved watching it, I always said no because I was so scared I'd give too much of myself away, because I used to be such a private person. But then sort of, it's irony, I suppose, and maybe fate. A couple of years ago, I won't bore you with it, but I was ill in February of last year of 2009, and afterwards I sort of talked about it. I did my life story, if you like, and to be honest, everything's out in the open, and I just thought, oh well, I've done it now, it's all there. And then they asked me to do Loose Women, and it was about 3 or 4 months ago now, the first time I did it. Oh, Alex, I was absolutely terrified.
Oh, yeah.
I was so scared of saying a swear word.
Yeah.
And you think, oh God, I've got to be so careful what I say. Now I don't care, I just love it.
They do lure you into a false sense of security with that show, because you feel like it's just you and the girls nattering, and you forget that there's 3 million people watching. You
do, you feel as though it's just the 4 of you who are taking part that day, and the audience, and even though the audience are very close to you, they just feel as though, well, when you're on there, you just feel as though they're part of it, because as soon as the interval comes on, we chat to the audience and tell them jokes, and we do all this, and they ask us questions, and we just have a chat, and the audience is mainly women anyway, and we all just have a chat together, and so it's so easy to say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
But I'm really enjoying it. I've just come back. I came back on the train in the snow last night from doing it yesterday.
Are there certain casts that you enjoy more than others? If you see Carol sat next to you, for example, does that always lift the show?
I love her. To be honest, we've not been on the panel that much together, but it's great because on certain subjects we think alike, and on other subjects we're complete opposites. So it's fantastic, and we're both very outspoken. So you just go for it and you say what you really feel, you know.
And what about the stars that come on the show when they know who you are? Does that ever become normal?
It's amazing, and they all go, oh, thank you so much for being so kind to us. And it's for me, it's really strange, because as an actor, normally you get handed your pages of script or your play, and you just memorise it and do your best to turn those pages into a different person. But being Beverley, at first it was quite scary, but now when the guests come on, you're so aware that they're quite nervous, because there's these 4, whichever 4 it is. I think there's a team of quite a lot of Loose Women. You know, it's never it's very rarely the same panel 2 days running, but you know they're quite formidable women and they're very strong and feisty. But all the guests love it. They really enjoy it.
Have you had one of those Colleen Nolan moments that she always tells me about when she comes off air and there's 17,000 texts waiting for her?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, indeed. The day before yesterday, we had quite a deep discussion as to whether women should be on the front line in the services. And that was quite heavy going. Everyone disagreed with me. But you've just got to say what you believe. I think if you were insincere on it or being a bit phony, it would show.
Yeah.
You've just got to be you.
I think it's like a radio show, because the fakes will be sussed within a heartbeat, because you're talking too much, too often, too regularly to keep up with your own story. If you start lying, I think they'd catch you out.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So what we're going to do, we're going to take a piece of music and then we're going to come back with Beverley Callard. She's got a DVD, a book, The Loose Women, anything else I can plug for you, we'll get to it next on your favourite local radio station. We're back on The Big Show. It's Alex Belfield talking to Beverley Callard. Of course, her new book's now out in paperback and her DVD's coming out soon. I'll tell you about that in a bit. The years that we have to talk about, of course, are the Coronation Street years, because that's when everybody fell in love with you and still do. Although, I don't see you on much now. Have you gone, or are you still there?
No, I took a vacation, sort of extended vacation, because I got married 4 weeks ago. So in real life, not Liz,
Yes.
as Beverley. And so I took some sort of all the time that was owed to me, I took in one great big chunk. But I have actually handed my notice in the summer, and massive decision. I've done it once before. I did 10 years and then I left because I wanted to go back on stage again. And then I've just done it again. I've been in it 21 years, 21 and a half years.
Wow.
And I'm going to go back on stage again next year, but I'm going to keep on working, but maybe not to quite the relentless schedule. But I've still got a massive exit to film. They were really kind to me and they understood, and they don't want to lose Liz forever. And so I said, do you think you'll put Liz under the tram and kill her? And they said, no, we're not going to do that. We want Liz to come back again. So I'm not saying I'll never play her again, because I do love playing her, but there's just other parts I'd quite like to play before I get too old.
It's very difficult. I see the dilemma you have. I mean, you've become an icon of the show, and frankly, we need more like you, more characters. I say it out loud all the time that Norris is always my favourite. I just think the characters are always brilliant. You're one of them. You're the people we remember. Equally, though, it becomes a bit like Groundhog Day, doesn't it? Turning up at that Granada and having to churn it out, and it's a proper job. It's not showbiz.
Absolutely. It's really not showbiz. It's a wonderful job, and I thank God every day I get paid for something that I love doing, because I know many people don't, and I do appreciate it, and I'm very grateful. But to be an actor, you do want to play other parts as well. And as I say, I'm not saying I'll never play Liz again. And The Exit is amazing. It goes on for quite a long time. I go back in the new year, and it's really fantastic. Lots of comedy, but lots of high drama as well. But the schedule at Coronation Street and EastEnders the same is relentless. We are there, certainly at the moment, it's been 6 days a week, 15-hour days. And when you set your alarm for 5 o'clock in the morning, you do think,
yeah.
I actually can't find my eyes to paint all that hideous eye makeup on, never mind anything else.
Also, is it kind of frustrating that you're one of the biggest stars in the country at that point while you're on the soap and you're earning good money, but you haven't any time to spend it or enjoy it because you've got to keep filming to keep the stardom that you've got?
Literally, when you're in a big storyline, you have no life whatsoever. The street has to take over everything. And I think that was one of the biggest reasons. You know, John and I have been together 8 years, and he proposed to me in May. and he said, we need some time for us. And so that was one of the biggest factors, because of course you finish work and you could have another 30 pages to memorize for the next morning, and so it will be nice to actually learn a script and finish learning it and then just go on stage knowing you know it, rather. But as I say, I love both. I love everything.
Is it strange waking up in a morning? I spoke to Bill Tarmy a few weeks ago because he's just left the soap, Jack Duckworth, and he's just so brilliant. And he said the hardest thing for him is waking up in a morning and not having something to do.
Well, to be honest, I've not got to that stage yet.
Right.
I'm literally, I still teach 3 fitness classes a week. Yesterday, this is just an example, I was up at 6, went to do loose swimming, then came back to Manchester on the train, taught a fitness class at 7:30 till about 8:45, got home about 9:20. Today I've got a day off, but I'm doing 4 interviews, so it's like that. To be honest, I'm not very good at doing nothing.
Well, I was just going to say, what's the point of leaving Coronation Street to open up your schedule and then filling it with everything else that you've got to do anyway?
I know, but it's just so exciting doing lots of different things,
Right. Is the camaraderie as good as they say it is at Coronation Street? Because I haven't had one actor tell me that it's bitchy and all of that stuff. I'm sure there are creative pressures and all of that kind of thing, but is it so intimate that if you didn't get on, it would just all fall apart?
Absolutely, it really is like that. And occasionally, I can honestly say, I'm very lucky. No matter what programme I've been in or what play, I've always had great members of cast, but I can honestly say, if any actors arrived in Coronation Street who were divas or who were a bit lovey-lovey and precious, they wouldn't last very long. You're there for so many hours and you just get to know each other. Certainly the people who you work a lot with, like, my best friend in the whole world is Simon Gregson and his new wife. They've just got married as well. Yep. Emma. John and I introduced them. Charlie Lawson, who played Jim, is one of my best friends. You couldn't do it, really, if you didn't get on, I don't think. And you just somehow, it all slots in.
Yep.
And even if you don't see each other for about 4 or 5 days, which you can go for months in that show without seeing certain members of the cast, we ring each other up and say, "How are you doing? Where have you been? What's going on?"
I read in the papers a few weeks ago that you were upset because his wedding, he was upset with you because of your wedding and all of this. Is that really hurtful when you can't control it and it's clearly nonsense?
Yeah, it was rubbish, but it did stem from the fact that Simon and Emma couldn't come to our wedding because last year they planned this certain weekend with the boys, and then I was really torn because Simon's wedding was the day we filmed Children in Need for the Queen in the Queen Vic, where Liz turned out to be Kat's mum. And so you so don't want to say no to that, because it's shooting another piece of history. But Simon understood perfectly, but then people made it, "Oh no, listen, we're at a party on Saturday night." You know Denise Welsh, who's on Loose Women?
Yes, I know Denise, yes.
Well, Denise is one of my best friends. She was one of my bridesmaids, and it was her ball on Saturday. And we went along there with Simon and Emma, and unfortunately, we all got very drunk.
Really?
Oh my goodness, yes. It was a 5 o'clock in the morning job, and it went. But again, I didn't finish work till 11 o'clock at night. Got to the ball at 11:30. Listen, by 1:30, oh gosh, we were partying. And my new husband and Simon Gregson were doing the splits to great balls of fire. Once again, it happens often, unfortunately.
Yeah, never a more appropriate song either, is there, really?
Oh gosh, Emma and I just stand there and we just think, oh, let's have another drink, because there's no way we're going to be able to stop them.
Hey, listen, let's take a final piece of music and we'll come back with our remaining moments with one of my favourite people, Beverley Callard, always a great guest and a lovely lady to talk to. Her new DVD's out now, her book's out as well, and of course Loose Women on the telly weekdays from 12:30. We're back with our remaining moments with Beverley Callard, the star of Coronation Street, Loose Women. She's got a DVD out and, of course, her autobiography. It's an interesting point in your life now, isn't it, where we've suddenly become interested in you more than your characters. I think we talked about this earlier with the Loose Women stuff. That's a great place to be because not many actors can be themselves.
No, I'm finding it quite exhilarating, actually. It's a really special time in my life. And, you know, when you get those days and those moments where you think, oh, I hope this doesn't stop. Everything is so good and I'm so lucky. So, yeah, I'm having a ball.
It doesn't seem like there's any facade or act. Do you actually enjoy just being who you are and letting people join the party if they're interested?
Oh gosh, not always. I mean, everybody's heard about it and I won't bore everybody, but sometimes I so don't enjoy being me. I suffered last year from very severe clinical depression, and I had to have ECT, which is electroconvulsive therapy. I had 12 sessions, and sometimes since I started to get well, you know, I was off work for 3 months last year, and since I started to get well, I think it's difficult to put into words, and I enjoy putting it into words, but I've got nothing to hide. But sometimes I do have very low self-esteem and I do lack confidence, but I'm not as bad as I used to be.
Is that the case with most actors? Because I always think that, even in myself, the front is way bigger than the reality.
Yeah, and I think actors, and, you know, you're the same, Alex, people in our job, we tend to be quite shy, really. But we love people, and we're, you know, fun-loving. And if you click with someone, and I think that's the joy of Loose Women, when you click and you can just sit there and have a good chat, and there's no pretense, you know, there's no facade. I think that's when people get to know you the best, really.
Of course, you're in the public eye, and it sometimes bites you in the backside. I know last year as well, which didn't help, was all those stories about your finances. Do you think the papers have a right to write that stuff, or should they mind their own business?
Oh, gosh, that's a hard one. I mean, sometimes you open a paper or a magazine, because I think the magazines can be as bad now, and you can open them and think, this is just complete rubbish. But then, on the other hand, they can really help you, you know, as well. And especially if you're working for a charity or for something like that, and you're fundraising, it can really lift the profile of something. So I think it's a double-edged sword in a way. But to be honest, you've just got to take it. And I take it better now than I used to. And since I've been ill, and because I was so honest about it, because at first I thought, I'm not going to talk about this at all. I was quite ashamed and I felt a little embarrassed because there's such a big stigma around depression and mental illness. But I think they've been very good to me and sort of appreciated my honesty, really. I hope so, anyway.
I struggle with being wronged. I don't like it when people say things about me publicly or even privately that aren't true, and I always want a right of reply, and often you don't have that. How do you stop that becoming really bitter and twisted and a very dark place?
I think sometimes you can't stop that. And believe me, there are some times when I truly read something and I think, I can't wait till I meet this person. I'm going to punch the lights out, you know. And I'm sure every person who's sort of high profile must feel that, you know. But it just goes with the job, unfortunately.
You've had such an interesting life, and of course Leeds is where it all began. And just looking through your CV, I mean, show business has really always been a part of your life in one way or another, hasn't it? Yes,
it has. And especially in Leeds. I think I used to be in an amateur drama group in Leeds, and my first TV job was at Yorkshire Television because the director had seen me on stage in Leeds. And, you know, my mum was born there, I was born there, and I love Leeds.
How often do you get back?
Oh, I was there the week before last. My son still lives there.
Well, why don't we do dinner? You must let me know when you're in town.
I would love to.
This is ridiculous. Why are we hanging about, Beverley? We've got so much to talk about.
Absolutely. I'm having a great time.
I was down with a very showbiz lady, Mel B, the other week from the Spice Girls, who was at a very posh hotel, and I brought up your name and her eyes just filled up with just such admiration. She thinks you're one of the most talented and most lovely people in show business. Again, I don't think you can be a faker for as long as you've been in the business. If there's something inherently nasty about you, I think you're going to get caught out, because you can't cover up forever, can you?
Oh no, I'm sure you couldn't. And Melanie, I've known her since she was about 8 years old, and she again is a beautiful human being. She is one of God's children. She's been my daughter's best friend. They both went to school together in Leeds. They went to Intake High School in Bramley, and they do a great performing arts course there, but their education, their ordinary academic education, doesn't suffer. And Melanie is just lovely, absolutely lovely, and a very hard worker as well.
And of course, when we look at hard work, we've seen your schedule this week alone. These fitness classes are so interesting because A, you must have better things you could do. B, you could be earning more money doing it somewhere else. This is really a passion of yours, isn't it?
It is. I've taught. I used to teach in Leeds all the time at all different health clubs, but I've taught fitness for 28 years, and I've always taught at least 3 times a week. And then when I went into hospital in February of last year, I had to stop, and I'd literally got to stop for 17 months because the medication affected my balance. And gosh, I started to get fat. The lycra skirts were just getting tighter and more stretched, believe me. And I put loads of weight on, especially around my middle and everything. And then in July, they said to me, you can they changed my medication this July and said you can begin to go back to teaching again and get your stamina levels up and your fitness levels up. And so I started teaching again, and I've completely transformed myself. I'm back to how I was. I'm back to a size 8, but I've also transformed 25 real women. You know, they're not models, they're not dancers, they're all working mums. They all live in Salford, near where I live, and they've all done it. They've all thrown their old jeans away because they're all too big.
Oh, I love that. I love those pictures where you show the jeans from the past and the jeans that are currently on, and they're about 10 sizes bigger than the ones you're putting in the bin.
It's fantastic.
It's great, isn't it?
And I love it. It's just the one place where I'm not an actress, I'm not a wife, I'm not a mother, I'm not a grandma, I'm just Beverley. And the women have done amazingly well, amazing.
I tend not to have people on to promote their fitness DVDs because I think mostly they're a scam. They're people who are paid great.
I have to say, I agree with you.
Yeah.
I hate celebrity fitness DVDs, but yeah, and most of them, I won't name names, but what they do is they go on starvation diets and live on a radish and a lettuce leaf for 6 months and then say, look, if I did it, you can do it. That's not me. You know, I know what I'm talking about. I did all the choreography myself. We have no airbrushing whatsoever. There's no tricks. You see them filmed at the beginning and you see them at the end. And listen, if I can do it, anybody can do it.
Well, I need your help, Beverley, because the truth is I've got the man boobs and the bingo wings and it's not going so well. I'm going to come to one of your classes. I
wish you would.
Oh, I'd love it.
I wish you would. You should maybe, I don't know, get some of your listeners to run a competition and they can come along.
Beverley Callard's new DVD is coming out in the new year, and it is a true inspiration to see a lady who isn't just taking the money and running. She actually does this for a living, and it's her proper job. I mean, really, the telly and the loose women and the corros just filling in while you've got a bit of time on your hands, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Hey, listen, your book is tremendous. I haven't got to the end of it, but it really was so honest and real and incredibly uncomfortable in places. You're almost too honest for your own good. And I'll tell you, the other person I said that to this year was Denise Walsh. Her book's the same. I mean, just brutally honest.
Absolutely.
Good luck with the loose women.
She was my bridesmaid.
I know, it's in the book. It's in the book. Good luck with the loose women. You know I love the girls very much. So my regards to all of them.
Thank you so much.
And the DVD's out now. The book's out now. And we'll see you back on Coro in the new year. Stay. Please don't go.
Oh, I'm sorry. I've made up my mind. That's it.
None of your nonsense. Beverley Callard, thanks for joining us.
Oh, Alex, thank you. Thank you. It's been a great pleasure.